We're here again, and let's continue, and let's see if I can finish the rest of page 3 in this video. Let's try our best. The next entry, abound, A-B-O-U-N-D, abound, abounds, abounding, abounded, is a verb. If things abound, or if a place abounds with things, there are very large numbers of them. Formal. Sample sentences. Stories abound about when he was in charge. Stories abound about when he was in charge. So there's a lot of stories about him when he was in charge. Abounds about. Abounds about. Stories abound about when he was in charge. Stories abound about when he was in charge. Next sample sentence. The book abounds with close-up images from space. So there's a lot of close-up images from space in the book. The books abounds with close-up images from space. The books abounds with close-up images from space. The books abounds with close-up images from space. About. A-B-O-U-T is the next entry. It's a big one. About. There's a section of brief description about it first. It's saying, in addition to the uses shown below, about is used after some verbs, nouns, and adjectives to introduce extra information. About is also often used after verbs of movements such as walk and drive, and in phrasal verbs such as mess about and set about, especially in British English. In addition to uses shown below, not shown above. Yes, I made a mistake. So let's see its usage. For the first sense, about is a preposition. You use about to introduce who or what something relates to or concerns. What is it about? What does it relate to? Sample sentences, there's a lot. She came in for a coffee and told me about her friend Shauna. Not Sana from Twice, but Shona. S-H-O-N-A. Shauna. Let's confirm its pronunciation. Shona. We'll stick to Google Translate for names. Shona. Shona. It's a girl's name, I'm guessing. She came in for a coffee and told me about her friend Shona. She came in for a coffee and told me about her friend Shona. She came in for a coffee and told me about her friend Shona. Next sentence. She knew a lot about food. 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 Next sentence. The neighbors complained about the noise. The neighbors complained about the noise. The neighbors complained about the noise. There's a need for noise abatement. Abatement. The neighbors complained about the noise. The neighbors complained about the noise. The neighbors complained about the noise. The second sense is also a preposition. When you mention the things that an activity or institution is about, you're saying what it involves or what its aims are. Like the organization is about helping others, is expressing what the organization does and what its aims are. For example, leadership is about the ability to implement change. Leadership is about the ability to implement change. Leadership is about, like you've probably heard of this expression, it's all about doing something. Like math is all about applying formulas and proving formulas. No, that's probably just a scratch of mathematics. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Applying and proving formulas, or the other way around, proving and then applying the formulas. But in some ways, I think applications are more important than, like the theorem says that applications are well grounded in. Because given the theorems, you finally have to apply it somewhere to make it useful, or they're just written text on your textbooks. Applications matters more. That's why I will focus more on the sample sentences instead of the definitions. Leadership is about the ability to implement change. Leadership is about the ability to implement change. Leadership is about the ability to implement change, to make changes. Leadership is about the ability to implement change. Leadership is about the ability to implement change. The third sense, preposition, you use about after some adjective to indicate the person or thing that a feeling or state of mind relates to. You use about after some adjectives to indicate the person or thing that a feeling or state of mind relates to. For example, I'm sorry about Patrick, she said. I'm sorry about Patrick. I'm sorry about Patrick, she said. I'm sorry about Patrick, she said. I'm sorry about Patrick, she said. Next sample sentence. I feel so guilty and angry about the whole issue. I feel so guilty and angry about the whole issue. I feel so angry and guilty about the whole issue. I feel so guilty and angry about the whole issue. I feel so angry. No, guilty first. I feel so guilty and angry about the whole issue. The fourth sense, preposition. If you do something about a problem, you take action in order to solve it. Like doing something about it. Can you do something about it? No, I can't. I'm too incapable. I'm incompetent. Just do it yourself. Don't abandon your responsibility if you are meant to to settle the problems. Sample sentence. Rachel was going to do something about Jacob. Rachel was going to do something about Jacob. Rachel was about to do something about Jacob. Rachel was going to do something about Jacob. Rachel was going to do something about Jacob. Maybe Jacob is in trouble, so she has to give him a hand. She has to help him. She decided to help him. To do something about Jacob. The fifth sense, preposition. When you say that there's a particular quality about someone or something, you mean that they have this quality. A little abstract. Let's see the actual examples. I think there's something a little peculiar about the results of your test. Peculiar, P-E-R-C-U-L-I-A-R. Let's see what it means. P-E-C-U-L-I-A-R. Peculiar. Peculiar. Adjective. You describe someone or something as peculiar. You think that they are strange or unusual, like aberrant or like abnormal. Yes, abnormal. Sometimes in an unpleasant way, like an abomination. It's a rather peculiar sense of humor, like a special, unusual, strange, Doctor Peculiar, strange or unusual, sometimes in an unpleasant way. Sometimes it's used to show disapproval. Peculiar. So if you're saying I think there's something a little peculiar about the results of your test. You may be suspected to have cheated in your exams or tests, or have plagiarized others' work and make it yours, and submitted it. I think there's something a little peculiar about the results of your test. I think there is something a little peculiar about the results of your test. Or maybe he just ruled out the actual mark and filled in a decent mark for himself. That's what makes it peculiar. But it would be very obvious. But let's move on. The sixth sense, adverb. About is used in front of a number to show that the number is not exact. Oh, like it's about 20. How many people are there? There are about 20 people. For example, sorry. It's not exact where we're at. In my local health center, there's about 40 parking spaces. 40 parking spaces. In my local health center, there's about 40 parking spaces. In my local health center, there's about 40 parking spaces. In my local health center, there's about 40 parking spaces. The second example, the rate of inflation is running at about 2.7%. The rate of inflation is running at about 2.7%. That's why we need to learn how to invest and work harder to make more money. The rate of inflation is running at about 2.7%. The rate of inflation is running at about 2.7%. The rate of inflation is running at about 2.7%. I'm trying very hard to brush up on my accent to make it more natural. Hopefully you can hear some difference from the beginning. Or it could still be roughly the same, about the same. The seventh sense, adverb. If someone or something moves about. Actually, about is the British alternative to around in American English. Like if you move around somewhere, then you can say I'm moving about somewhere if you're leaning towards the British English. If someone or something moves about, they keep moving in different directions. So they're moving around, going in different directions. For example, everyone was running about. They're running in different directions. Everyone was running about. Everyone was running about. Everyone was running about. It sounds like a bunch of kids. Side note, preposition. About is also a preposition. He wandered about the town, stopping to listen to bands. Wander is a good word to learn. Like going about, wandered, like walking aimlessly in a shopping mall. If you wander.
Wander.
Yes, in British English, it's wander. Wander without the R in the end. If you wander in a place, you walk around there in a casual way, often without intending to go in any particular direction. Yes, if you're wandering about somewhere, or if you're wandering around somewhere, most of the time you have no specific destination, just walking around, like wandering around the fair. Wander off in the direction of the nearest door. Wander the street, sleep through. Wander about, wander about. Oh, where we're at. He wandered about the town, stopping to listen to bands. He wandered about the town, stopping to listen to bands. He wandered about the town, stopping to listen to bands. So there are bands everywhere. Which, well, just forget it. He wandered about the town, stopping to listen to bands. He wandered about the town, stopping to listen to bands. The eighth sense, preposition. If you put something about a person or thing, you put it around them. For example, Helen threw her arms about him, like to hug her. Through your arms. Throw the arm. Throw the arms around her. Throw the arms. Throw arms. Throw arms meaning. Throw arms to show that you disagree strongly with something or very worried. Should throw my arms around him. Throw my arms. Throw my arms around. Throw my arms. You should be able to imagine that, like you're hugging someone, so you're putting your arms, placing your arms around someone's back, someone's body to hug him or hug her. Yes, like to throw your own arms around yourself. Like hugging someone, to throw your arms around him. And Helen threw her arms about him. Helen threw her arms about him. Helen hugged him. Helen threw her arms about him. Helen threw her arms about him. The ninth sense, adjective. If someone or something is about, they're present or available. Present or present. Let's see. Present. Present tense. Present. Present. Present.
Present.
Present that exists now. Present. They are present or available. Present. They're present. They're present. Present. If someone is present at an event, they're there. So yes, they're there if they're present. So if someone or something is about, they're present or available. A sample sentence. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. So money is everywhere these days for schemes like this. So for whatever plans you threw at, and if you're trying to look for some investors to provide capital for your schemes, you can easily find one because cash is everywhere. There's money everywhere. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. And for a side note, please, sometimes I'm not sure if I am explaining the examples correctly or if I'm interpreting certain words right. So please correct me if I made any mistake. I'm all ears. I'm just like all of you who is listening to this video. I'm also a learner who's trying to improve my English. So I may have made a tons of mistakes, but hopefully I can improve my English level through reading through this Collins dictionary. That's my primary aim. Let's continue. There's lots of money about for schemes like this. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. There's lots of money about these days for schemes like this. For schemes like this. The 10th sense, adjective. If you are about to do something, you're going to do it very soon. If something is about to happen, it will happen very soon. Oh, this expression will come in handy in many circumstances. Like, I'm about to do it. That is about to happen. He is about to come. He is about to arrive. The festival is about to come. The festival, that man is about to leave. If something is about to happen, it will happen very soon. Sample sentences. I think he's about to leave. I think he's about to leave. I think he's about to leave. The film was about to start. 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 The 11th sense, the 12th sense, and the 13th sense, we can ignore it for now because it's directing us to other entries in the dictionary. The 14th sense, phrase. If someone is out and about, they're going out and doing things, especially after they have been unable to for a while. So like you've been locked in your room for some days for to revise, and now you're out and about and you're outside doing your own stuff, like hanging out with your friends. Out and about, they're going out and doing things, just like hanging out, going out to do your own stuff. Despite considerable pain, she has been getting out and about almost as normal. So despite the pain that she is still going outside and like playing and wandering about the town, stopping to listen to bands, despite her pain. Despite considerable pain, she has been getting out and about almost as normal, like a normal person, almost as normal. Despite considerable pain, she has been getting out and about almost as normal. Despite considerable pain, she has been getting out and about almost as normal. Despite considerable pain, she has been getting out and about almost as normal. Despite considerable pain, she has been getting out and about almost as normal. The 15th sense is a phrase. If someone is out and about, they're going to a lot of different places, often as part of their job, like going everywhere if you're going out and about. If you are out and about. Sample sentence. They often saw me out and about. They often saw me out and about. They often saw me out and about. So to them, I'm a guy who's always outside, who always go to different places, like traveling to different countries. Usage. About. There's a little box enclosing this short paragraph to explain other usages and other usage of about. don't use an hyphen ing form in about to sentences. For example, don't say, you are about crossing the River Jordan. Say you are about to cross the River Jordan. So don't use gerunds here. You are about to cross instead of you are about crossing the River Jordan. You are about to cross the River Jordan. You are about to cross the River Jordan. I was about to go home instead of I was about going home. That's another nice thing to remember. I was about to go home. I was about to go home. I was about to go home. Next entry, about face. About face is the second, is a compound word. About and face. Let's see if it's pronounced as about face or about face. About face.
About face.
About face. About face. Let's stress them equally. About face. About face. About faces. Countable noun. And about face is a complete change of attitude or opinion. A complete change of attitude and or opinion. For example, few observers believe the president will do an about face and start spending more. So the president should promised not to spend more when he succeed the office of the previous president. But he might do an about face and start spending more. Few observers believe the president will do an about face. To do an about face. Would you do an about face? Few observers believe the president will do an about face and start spending more. So it's very not likely because only few observers believe that the president will do an about face and start spending more. Few observers believe the president will do an about face and start spending more. Few observers believe the president will do an about face and start spending more. Will do an about face. This is the main point. That's what we learn. He will do an about face, and to officially announce the abolition of something. Parliament voted to abolish the death penalty for murder. Do an about face. Would you do an about face? Next entry, about turn. About turn. About turns is an uncountable noun. So an about turn is the same as an about face. Just is the British variant. No, it's the British equivalent of about face. So in American we used about face, but in Britain we use about turn. Like few observers believe the president will do an about turn and start spending more and start spending less. He's promised to spend more, but now she's about to spend less. About turn, about face. About face for Americans and about turn for British people. Next entry, above, another big one. The first sense, able, able. Above, first sense, preposition. If one thing is above another one, it is directly over it or higher than it, just in a higher position, relative to something like the origin. Sample sentences. He lifted his hands above his head. 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 Apartment 46 was a quiet apartment, unlike the one above it. Apartment 46 was a quiet apartment, unlike the one above it. I like quiet apartments too. Who doesn't enjoy a space or a period of time that belongs to themselves, that is dedicated to themselves? Who doesn't like it? Like not being interrupted by any others and just enjoy the stuff that interests you the most, like watching my YouTube videos. Though I know it's quite boring just to listen to a random guy reading through the dictionary. Apartment 46 was a quiet apartment, unlike the one above it. Apartment 46 was a quiet apartment, unlike the one above it. Apartment 46 was a quiet apartment, unlike the one above it. He was staring into the mirror above him. He was staring into the mirror above him to probably tidy up, to tuck his shirt. To tuck his shirt if... Oh, I can't find the right expression to express the ideas in my brains. That's why we need to read through the dictionary. You know, in secondary school, some students, which include me, always left their shirts untucked and look like some sorts of bad students, or some bad students, to look cool, to look cooler, to untuck the shirt, refusing to tuck the shirt. He was staring into the mirror above him. He was staring into the mirror above him. He was staring into the mirror above him. Adverb. Above is also an adverb. A long scream sounded from above, from somewhere above. Sounded. This is another useful word to learn. Sound. It can be used as a verb. If something sounded, it produces some noise. If something such as a horn or a bell sounds, or if you sound it, it makes a noise. So you can sound. You can sound a bell, or if a bell sounds, it makes a noise. So a long scream sounded. A long scream sounded. A long scream. There's a long scream comes from somewhere, from above. That's quite frightening, terrifying. A long scream sounded from somewhere above. A long scream sounded from somewhere above. Wow. It could be creepy if it's in the middle of your sleep. Then you just suddenly heard a long scream sounded from somewhere above. Sounding from somewhere above. A long scream sounded from somewhere above. A long scream sounded from somewhere above. Oh, this is the end of page 3. Hopefully I can make this dictionary challenge not an abortive attempt. Finish it and finish its main, the dictionary part, dictionary A to Z part, from page 1 to page 1758. Then hopefully my English could improve remarkably, could have remarkable improvement. And so do you, if you're listening to me and recall the sample sentences with me. A long scream sounded from somewhere above. It has taken 2 hours to load all the people aboard. Savaroni. Oh, okay, that's the end of this video. Please enjoy your day.